What's going on, traders? How we doing? Ready to get at it and look at the market dropping off. And wouldn't you know it, guys? I said, could the stock market hold? And the answer is looking like no right now. But let's get into the action. Let's take a look at underneath the hood of what's going on right now. You guys see it, the 423 knockdown. It was just at 423, and then there you go. 310 started, and pow we go. Of course, it's going to be a big earnings week, so you guys don't want to miss everything that's going to come out on the earnings front. You don't want to miss that, of course, and we can go over through some of those earnings as they come through tonight. And there's some on the tape tonight, not too much. But later this week, of course, there's a lot of earnings that will be coming out. You got Logitech tonight. You got Cleveland Cliff that will be interesting. That's steel play. And then tomorrow, Coca-Cola, Verizon, GM, 3M, Spotify, RTX, ADM, GM. There's a lot on the tape for tomorrow. Definitely going to be looking at like a GM. Let's take a look at why I would be looking at GM. Let's take a look here. As industrials started the day in the green, and you guys can see how GE is starting to come down, I'm wondering, is this the top out of the industrial move? I mean, if we take a look at the XLI, this has made a nice move from 23, but look where we're at now. We're essentially up only 0.35% from the beginning of the year, even though we made a run at some point in the year that was about 12% higher on the XLI. This is not looking good as we do this takedown. And just take a look at CAT in the last couple of days. Take a look at Deere. This doesn't look good, guys. This looks like it definitely wants to sell off. So I don't expect great things from GE tomorrow, but that's just my outlook on the future earnings, right? Let's take a look at what happened today. Technology, of course, getting a little bit of a bounce. And I talked about how the kind of the 200-day moving average coming into play with a little bit of a bounce today. Now, the only question is, will this bounce hold? Right? You guys can see Apple up today. NVIDIA was the one that was leading the day, and I called that out on live trading really quickly. I could see that the relative strength on NVIDIA was leading the market back higher, and that's what the market did. It followed NVIDIA. And look at ARM just recently getting a huge spike here. Look at the share size on this, 1.6 million shares there going through at 310. Right when the market started to go down, the market, at least ARM, was going up. That's pretty interesting, guys. I think this is something that we need to be thinking about, right? And trying to stay on top of. We'll see what happens with this situation, but definitely as ARM goes, so will NVIDIA, and they got a little bit of a spike. Will they get their move back up here? I was talking today that we could see first a move back towards like 430s, 440s, and then eventually a move to 400. So does this mean that NVIDIA is done from the kind of the downturn? No, I think we eventually get to this bar. And I think with the earnings, we could eventually get to the 200-day moving average. And that's, of course, down there towards the 360s, but we won't get into all that action. Take a look at Tesla. Tesla down to 212s, and somehow I think that this might get a little bit of a bounce into this space, the 230s, 225s, but eventually I think we take out the 200. It is going down pretty fast, so we could get a little bit of a bounce back, and then eventually the next move down. That's what I expect here in Tesla. All right, guys, smash the like out there. We're going to keep going. And if you guys have stocks you guys want to call out, definitely call them out in the chat. I'll definitely catch them and keep running on the day here. Consumer cyclical pulling back a decent amount, and we'll see what happens there as Home Depot's also getting hit here. And we'll go to the consumer cyclicals to see what was up today. Resorts and casinos getting a little bit of a lift. So that's not a bad area to kind of catch. Leisure bouncing back, gambling, residential construction, a stock that I was trying to swing trade today, was not able to get the buy because the buy was in the pre-market. This 100 I was looking at for DHI. So I'm going to look for it to come right back into below 101, somewhere in that 100. And I'm willing to take a shot on these because I think that you're going to actually see a housing oversupply come to the market. And a lot of that has to go with what? Well, these construction stocks might actually have to push hard into building. We'll see what happens with that situation. DHI, we'll see if it gets back up there to 105. Of course, Warren Buffett famously has been buying these home builders. We'll see what happens. Toll Brothers also bouncing back today after kind of really getting hit hard as of late, right? Specialty retail, I've been keeping an eye on this. Amazon bouncing back today. XRT still going down, though. It did make a little bit of a move to the upside, but not being able to hold on to it. So right now, seasonality, not being able to hold up this retail trade. So we'll see what happens here if it starts to get really wrecked. O'Reilly's getting hit hard today. Man, look at that one. That's definitely a fall from grace. AZO, also a fall from grace. Not looking good in those names, at least. That's one thing that I can clearly see. All right, let's keep going, guys. If you guys got tickers you guys want to take a look at, throw them up in the chat. Technology, of course, leading the way today. I talked about some of those names, and solar bouncing back today as FSLR gets a nice little bounce back day. SEDG up about 5%. We'll see if these start to come back, but definitely not an area that I want to go ahead and jump. And this just tells me that maybe it's a little bit of a trick here, right? Because semiconductors were up 0.77%, but nowhere near compared to kind of like the leading in solar, up 1.68, right? Internet content up 1.38. I think this is a bounce. It's just kind of an oversold bounce. I mean, let's take a look at the SPY, right? We were already down about 3 or 4 days. Would we get the 5th day here? And it just seems like we didn't get it, right? And we had 4 straight down days of red days. And now I think this isn't really showing me that the bulls want to take control, but showing me that potentially this is just be an oversold, kind of a little bit of a relief rally today. Relief, not necessarily a real rally, right? We'll see what happens to this if it does have some legs, but definitely oil getting just hit hard today. We'll see what happened. I had to cut my Chevron, guys. Got caught in this swing trade, and sometimes you're going to get caught in some swings. I talked about it when we were up here. If we went back into this space, and you guys can see where I drew this, it created it on the 17th, not on the 20th, right? This was about a week ago's outlook, and now we're right back into that space. So this just shows me that we got to be careful there with oil. Chevron and Exxon stepping up to the plate with doing some deals, but it's not helping this environment. It's actually hurting the environment. That's something definitely to think about. Profit taken plus tech earnings, I definitely think so. At some point, there needs to be some profit taking, right? And I think that that's what we're starting to see. And I also think that you're starting to see some of the bigger boys just worried about positioning, right? Are they too big on tech? And is that what we're seeing recently, right? With this decline, are we seeing people just starting to take profits? And of course, what usually happens is the bigger boys can't take profits all at once, right? So they use these little leaks back to take more and more profits and then eventually wipe the market down. We'll see what happens with that. I think a big and the most important stock is going to be NVIDIA, really, because if NVIDIA somehow misses on their AI outlook, well, get ready. You're going to see some destruction really quickly come in the market. Sorry about that, guys. Just had something playing in the background. Had to fix that. All right, let's go take a look at Logitech. Jose, that's not a bad one to take a look at. Of course, Logi, L-O-G-I. It's been up here multiple times, right? I was looking at this just recently to watch this bounce off these levels. But one of the things that you're seeing it slow down up here. That's not a good sign, especially as it's made a big move since about July, right? And so I'm wondering if this starts to get hit. If Corsair Gaming, CRSR, right? Yeah, CRSR, Corsair Gaming. Look at that one. That's looking horrible. So this leads me to think that this might just knock us back down into this gap zone. So I would be looking for an opportunity on Logitech to get back into this gap zone, come back into this 64, 63 spot. Then I could eventually see a bounce. So earnings come in. Could see a knockdown to that spot. 80 is what you see on Logitech. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that outlook. That's up here on the next resistance, right? But you'd have to get through this resistance first, which you struggled multiple times. And then you'd have to get towards the next layer, which would be up there towards like 78 and 80s. We'll see if it can get up towards that 78 and 80s. It's not a bad stock to kind of keep an eye out for. Definitely had some buyers kind of stepping in the last couple of days. But that's pretty red right there. And that's what now 4 days in a row. We'll see what happens with the earnings reports tonight. All right, let's keep going, team. We'll see what else is going on in the market. It's about 3:51 at 4 o'clock. We'll be switching over to the next show. Going to get you guys over, of course, to the Dales report. That's going to be coming up next. So looking to go ahead and try to keep running with this. Looks like we're going to be talking about the NRA lobbying for green. Don't miss that. That's coming up next with the Dales report, of course. That's the Trade to Black podcast. If you guys want to check a little bit of some cannabis content out, that'll be up next. All right, let's keep going. What else is being mentioned in the chat? If anything, NVIDIA has our government to back them, especially with this AI race / Cold War that we're in. I mean, but one of the things that we've been seeing there is the battle back with China, right? And remember how much of a consumer China is, right? And I think in the long run, we're going to continue to see more and more battles. And the truth is that NVIDIA's outlook is so rich. Let's put it that way. The way that they're looking at them and the outlook that they gave was so high up. Did they set the bar just way too high? That's one thing that I'd be thinking about. All right, let's see what else is being mentioned. Cleveland Cliff after the bell. Yeah, that's going to probably affect eventually U.S. Steel. I think Cleveland Cliff probably takes a hit. I've been seeing more and more declines in basic materials. I think we're going to start seeing some more and more deflation come into play. The only area that I like here is gold. And I like gold at the end because this is starting to make its way back. I was looking at plays to maybe play a little bit today, like this dust. Looks good. This is one that I've never played before, but overall, it's setting up for an interesting move if it can make a move back to 16. You guys can see the bottoming action here around the 12s. I'll be looking for this one, especially tomorrow. If I could get a little bit of a move, maybe we get a little bit of a pullback overnight. We're below 12 and then start making a move back to 13. It's not a bad one to keep watch. So I'll set that alert there and keep moving here, team. Cyclicals, of course, we talked about some of those areas. Lodging getting a little bit of a bounce. We'll see if this is able to hold. All right, let's keep going. Utilities also kind of weak. Not really the strength there. Defensives also. Basic materials just kind of hanging around. Financials is where it really just kind of didn't do much. But what do you see here? Another leg lower for JPM. And what do I see here? I see a lot of head and shoulders action there. And if I take a look at the KRE, we're not looking too much better. The XLF, not looking too much better. I'll tell you what, guys, you guys do not want to miss out my video that will be released tomorrow, of course, on the regional bank crisis that I see coming, guys. The clock is ticking. Crisis 2023. You don't want to miss that, team. And I can give you guys the link now that I have ready to go for that. That's going to be coming out tomorrow at 9 a.m. So do me the favor, guys. Hit the link in the description in the chat there. Throwing it up in the chat right now. Hit the, of course, once you get to there, I want you guys to open it up, get there. And then all of a sudden, you'll see right at the bottom, notify me. There's a bell right there. You guys hit that bell and get notified so that you guys can watch this as soon as we go live at 9 a.m. Eastern tomorrow. You don't want to miss this. This is going to be after pre-market prep. And I'm telling you guys, some pretty good stuff here in this video. It's only 13 minutes long. You don't want to miss that, guys. Hit that link in the chat. All right, and it's a lot on this situation, and that's why I want to state it, guys. Let's just say there's a reason why I might have been short on MTB. Shh. Look at the action. Shh. Might want to check that video out tomorrow, team. All right, let's get back to the action. Also, take a look there at the Cathie Wood stocks. Look at this, guys. We were just starting to think Cathie was the worst was in for Cathie, and guess what, guys? It by no means necessary is Cathie out of the woods. So you see what I did there? Cathie out of the woods. We'll see what happens. Sark is trying to go higher. This is one that I would keep an eye out for and has continued to go higher. Of course, this is against the Cathie Wood stocks. So we should see some of these go lower. Names that I'm going to be looking for to really kind of continue to crack: Carvana, Affirm, those names. When do the zombie stocks come? Because the truth is, we haven't really had that zombie experience in this downturn. I think they're coming. They're just down the line here. And somehow these companies, just like the consumer, has stayed strong enough to get through this period. But what is around the corner? That's really what we should be asking ourselves. All right, guys, it's 3:57. We're going to wrap it up in just a second. Marty Wood about to be Money Mitch, about to be the market mover Mitch. You know where it's at, man. Like I always say, Kramer, the clock is ticking on you too, my friend. And guess what? Time is on my side, of course. I'm going to keep coming after it. Milky Fade, you know where you're at. Let's keep coming at it. Juan, this is our modern version of the space race with AI. Juan, I haven't seen you too much before, man. So I don't want to hit you too much on your AI conversation, because the truth is, it's not that I view AI as a negative or I don't use AI. I use AI, Claude, I use Chat GPT all the time. The only problem that I see is, like I always say it, is show me the money, right? Revenues speak, products do not right now. And I think that that's the important thing that we need to be looking for. All right, let's go towards some other stocks in the market. Of course, financials getting hit, real estate. Man, that looks horrible in real estate. Why does this look horrible in real estate? There's a lot in that video they'll release tomorrow to give you guys more on that exact outlook. Now, another area that I've been seeing getting really weak, and I talked about this with the major drug manufacturers, and that we could start seeing a top to this play, and we're already seeing it. Look at Eli Lilly, Johnson & Johnson, Merck, AbbVie, all these, NVS, all of them just don't look good, guys. Look at Bristol Myers, man. This thing has just been down all year long. It hasn't gotten a break, has Bristol Myers. So I don't know, guys. This doesn't look good there for the healthcare names. So you really got to be careful with those healthcare names. Take a look at XLV. Of course, this is the Spider Healthcare. Look how it's on the low and making a rejection from that 132. We break 126, 122s, and you got to go sometimes. You got to know when the getting's good and also know when the getting's out. And right now, it looks like it's out of here, guys. It doesn't look like it's good in these healthcare names. Let's go back to the SPY as we're about to close here. And what do you guys see? A nice little decline right before it. So it looks like we were having a decent day. We made a little bit of a lift, about 1.55%. And now what do you see? Well, back down about 1%. So this 420 is going to be important to kind of keep an eye out for. You can see how this acts as support right now. Will this act as support overnight, or will we be back towards 418? You guys in the chat, since you guys like to take a little bit of some bets sometimes, let me know. What do you guys think? Are we back tomorrow closer towards 424 or 418? So, or we could say 416 to be equal, right? 424, 416. We're at 420s right now. What do you guys think in the chat? Let me know. All right, guys, it's always good to see you guys in the chat. Lynn, got to go to happy hour. Catch you tomorrow. That's what I love to hear. And of course, you guys can catch the happy hour only on Benzinga Pro, of course. So definitely check that out, team, if you guys want to go ahead and take a look. But up next, of course, you guys will have the Dales report. That's going to come up next. Don't want you guys to miss that. And keep pushing forward, guys, as we keep forward. Up next, we'll have some cannabis content, but there's always some more for you guys, of course, to kind of take a look in. One thing that I will tell you guys is that I'm definitely going to be watching Microsoft's report later in the week. I don't want you guys to miss that one. And we got a bunch of reports that will be right here on Benzinga, so you don't got to go anywhere. Who's on this list that's on your radar? Throw it up in the chat now so I can catch those names out there. But definitely, I want to, of course, catch you guys' report. Of course, Microsoft, we will be putting it up. Also, Google right here on Benzinga, so you guys can watch those earnings calls. And then Meta on Wednesday. I'll make sure that we have that one up. And then Thursday, we get Amazon and Intel. Man, there's so much to report this week. It's going to be one of those weeks where one earnings could really drive the boat. The only question is, which way is it going to drive it, right? That's the hard part to determine. All right, guys, going to get you guys over. That's coming up next. Big banks back cannabis, Cybin advances psychedelics, and psilocybin pushback. You guys don't want to catch that or miss that. That's going to be really interesting. That's coming up next, of course, on the Trade the Black podcast. Don't miss that, guys. Starting up at 4:10 right here, of course, on Benzinga. This will actually take you guys over to that. So don't go anywhere, team. I'm going to go ahead and get you guys set up right now and get that over for you guys. So definitely hit the like, guys. We'll keep on moving on the Trade to Black podcast. Let me go ahead and set the redirect, make sure that's all set up here, and take you guys over. And don't miss tomorrow, of course, like I mentioned, the crisis of 23. Want you guys to catch that video. I'm going to throw it up one more time here in the chat so that you guys have that link ready for you tomorrow, 9 a.m. Eastern, right after pre-market prep. I'm telling you guys, the best video I've done yet right here. I put over 20 hours into this edit, so I hope you guys truly enjoy it tomorrow, and don't miss us. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me today. Now to bring you guys over to the Trade to Black podcast that's starting up in just, we got about 8 minutes until we start up there. I'll see you guys there. That's starting up next.